Hey, welcome back to Weenie Trades. I'm Weenie, I analyze stocks, and today the market sold off. So I'm going to be talking about what happened and potential key levels to watch out for and potential scenarios for what may be next. So I'm going to be breaking down the SPY, the VIX, a few of our key market leader stocks, and then just what's next. So let's get right into the video. First up, we've got SPY, and SPY was gapping down today. And if you remember last week, we were talking about this range contraction. So SPY, tight coiled range, and what that does is that creates a bear flag because we're just hanging out at low prices. Everybody was talking about buying the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. It's like, well, you can keep doing that, but eventually one of these times buying that dip can get you a little bit clapped. And the market gapped down from that range contraction. So earlier in the day, SPY just kind of zigzagged down all day. Strong downtrend. And it was very interesting because you can just draw that nice tight channel. Where do we start to break that channel? Right at the end of the day. And so when we're trading options, and I'm a big options trader, we want to be looking at calls only when there's vertical momentum. So this is a perfect example of when call options are a great time because the momentum started to go vertical. See, SPY, you could make some really good money on put options as it zigzags lower, but usually you get paid really well when the angle is steeply to the down to the put side. Well, conversely to the top side, when we're buying calls, boy, that's the exact same time when we want to be profiting off of those call options. So basically just think, okay, is it going to go vertical? If it's going to go vertical, then calls. If it's going to zigzag and chop around, probably not the best time for calls. If it's going to zigzag and chop around on the downside, probably not the best time for puts. Anyways, SPY had a pretty nasty down day, and at the end of the day, we rallied, and we rallied pretty hard. So we rallied hard at the end of the day. What does that mean? Well, it means there were some short sellers that were covering. The market loves to punish short sellers that short after a market has already dropped so much. So I do think that SPY probably has a little bit of continuation to the upside. This might be the lows for the week. That 429 on the SPY. We'll see if we're selling in the morning or not, but there's a lot of volume today. When we have FOMC on Wednesday, there could be a lot of shenanigans, and there's usually a bit of chop leading up to FOMC, which is on Wednesday. And Powell is going to speak, and he's going to decide to not do anything or raise interest rates. He's probably not going to do anything or probably even postpone raising interest rates a bit. We'll see, though, if the market will hang its hat on any word that he says on Wednesday. But due to the price action, we might have just seen like a little bit of a short-term low. I mean, look, we have this clear level of support, but I buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Eventually, that dip keeps dipping. And so it broke down on Friday. We got the continuation today. We sold off all day, and then we got the short covering rally. Generally, that means, okay, where are we going to head on the month? If we look at the monthly time frame, is this month going to close like this? If it did, that's a potential little reversal that could have SPY revert back to the mean. And that could be a little bit further down. So that is SPY. Next up, we've got the VIX, the Volatility and Fear Index, and we got that higher low pivot to launch pad off of. Do we see this? So VIX likes to do a little pump and dump, but it's always tough to kind of predict when the pumps are going to be happening and when the dumps are going to be happening. But as you can see, the VIX, high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Right here, we were talking about the higher low. So the VIX is getting a little like stair step, a step stool to launch itself through and break a little bit of resistance. The VIX broke out from the last time that it had spiked. And we were talking about the VIX getting into the upper 20s. There's your VIX upper 20s. What that means is we might give it back a little bit, but if the VIX puts in a higher low, which can be a higher low, anything above 20, the VIX could potentially stair step and launch pad up even higher and maybe get into the mid 30s. So keep an eye out on the VIX. We launch padded off of that higher low pivot, but boy, I love it when volatility is expanding. It really makes for some great trading opportunities. I do my worst in a sideways trading market, a little pinching type trading market, mostly because I haven't had as much practice during that market. I feel like during my entire trading career, it's always been crazy volatility, crazy VIX, big market sell-offs. So I really love the range when the volatility starts to expand. Can make money on the downside, to the long side, whatever it may be. I don't care which way the market goes, as long as the market goes away. A certain way. I don't want the market to go away. I want the market to stay. Feel free to enjoy Parker grooming himself as I start to break down some stocks. So first up, we got Apple, AAPL. Got clapped on the day. So Apple, we're talking about being a little bit more bearish on Apple and how might be selling calls against the 150 strike. Well, today, just like the overall market, Apple gapped down, sold off, spiked support just by a little bit and moved back higher. So Apple probably going to retrace just a little bit, probably up to at least the 145 area. It doesn't have to do that, but that's just a small little retracement. But 145 is likely going to be some resistance now, and we could hit our heads and sell off, or maybe just chop around and go sideways. So watch out on Apple. Next up we got is Microsoft and MSFT. Remember we talked about on the Sunday game plan how, hey, we kept hitting this top. We kept hitting resistance. Why didn't we break out? I was ready for the breakout, Microsoft. You didn't break out. You instead decided to break down. But luckily, I'm getting out before the breakdown because if I don't see what I need it to do, then I will go and get out. So Microsoft, a little bit of a triple, quadruple top, breaking support, breaking the trend line. We talked about the dip buy at that 290 area. Boy, what a great move off of that 290, 291 dip buy. I wasn't going to take any more trades at the end of the day. It was a cooking little day, shorting Shopify. But nonetheless, Microsoft probably going to dig a little bit higher, but probably won't go much higher than 296. So I feel like Microsoft already got a great bounce off of that low, which was where? The former breakout area. Where's our most pressed resistance? Boom, we break out. If you missed it on the way out, you can catch it on the way back in. And that's exactly what Microsoft just did. Doesn't mean that Microsoft is going to go up and make new all-time highs. Doesn't mean that Microsoft is going to sell off. I'm just kind of neutral on Microsoft. Next up, we got NVIDIA, and same thing with Microsoft. NVIDIA upgraded on Friday. Bullish news, good news. We had the chance to rally. What happens if we don't rally on good news? Well, usually it signifies, hey, we can drop or we can maybe have a little short-term top. So NVIDIA, we gapped right into the former breakout area. And where do we find some support? The former breakout area. Kind of creeped lower into it, got low, and then boom, spike up just with that short covering rally on the SPY. So NVIDIA, what's next? Well, NVIDIA, it would be lucky if NVIDIA could even reach today's highs later this week, 214. But if it is pushing higher, watch out for a lot of resistance at that 218. Otherwise, if it's holding underneath 209, 210, it could be looking for potentially more downside. Next up we've got is BABA. And BABA, so lots of shenanigans with Evergrande. I'm not sure exactly how that'll play out. It sounds like the Chinese government might be bailing them out. It's a difficult situation, and I specialize in the charts, and the charts told me to short BABA today. So what I do, I shorted BABA at 154. However, unfortunately, I put in a trail stop that tagged to the penny. So it was just a little break-even trade. But nonetheless, BABA, nice good downside move today. Now, BABA, what happens at this point in time? It's potentially capitulation. We make a nice good bounce. We put in a higher low. We make the higher high, but we just reclaim the lows. So BABA gaps all over the place. Looks a little bit bearish, at least short term. We'll see if it wants to continue to puke or not. BABA, though, that's a breakdown on the weekly. Looks like there's a little bit of support down in the low 140s. So BABA could be headed to low 140s. It'll be interesting to see whether or not it breaks this 129.77 low that took place in December 31st last year for BABA. So that's BABA. Next up we've got is AMC. And AMC on the daily time frame, we talked about AMC being bearish and doing a false breakout. We broke out, snapped back in. Okay. Ever since 50 on AMC, I'm talking about, you got to be very, very careful. We're just coming into a ton of resistance, and we've already squeezed once. We've arguably squeezed again. Honestly, AMC has squeezed many, many times. So it's had its squeezes. Now the momentum's starting to roll over, and boom, there's AMC 38, that upper 30s I've been talking about for quite a while. So AMC, does it have a little bit more downside? Sure, probably a little bit, but I wouldn't be shorting AMC now. People are asking me to short AMC. I was like, where were you up here on AMC? You need to be at higher prices. You can't be looking to short something after it's already dropped a ton. I mean, you can, but that's the same thing as buying a stock after it's already up a ton. Look at the chart. Context is key, but that's just something to think about. That's AMC. GME, underneath the 200 level, we've been talking about it being bearish since 215. Remember that midpoint of the consolidation range? False breakout. coming right back up to the midpoint of the range. Boom, short sellers slam it, some profit takers come in, and now GME starting to roll over because it's holding underneath that $200 a share. So what's next for GME? Well, if it's coming up into 200, I might be looking to short it and look for some downside. Otherwise, it's probably going to be just kind of range bound and choppy, but bearish underneath 188.48. And that's just this little consolidation towards the end of the day. So that's AMC, GME. What is next in the market? Probably just a little short-term bounce, a little bit of choppiness. I don't see the panic continuing anytime soon just yet, although it definitely can. A lot of the higher term time frames are damaged. So longer term, we looked at that monthly chart. SPY could be rolling over and continuing on down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for the rest of the week. And if you enjoyed this analysis, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in. See ya. And Peter says, check out the course. Bye-bye.